All right, we're here with Mr. Joe Updegrove, the athletic director here at Homestead High School, and we've been talking about whether female athletes or male athletes can participate or be as good as their top athletes, like top female athletes be as good as top male athletes. And just as we look at Homestead and how that might affect Homestead, like making a co-ed athletic program, if people can prove that women are as good as male athletes, what would that look like, and how would that impact Homestead's athletic program if something like that was?
If something like that was to happen,
yeah,
and it was scientifically proven that the females can compete with the males,
right.
I think that would be a very interesting topic. I think physically it'd be very difficult to prove that. I think mentally, the way and the understanding of the game, there probably isn't much of a difference there. I think that for Homestead to take on something like that, I think you have to look at the broader scope, and has to be our state organization, which currently is the Indiana High School Athletic Association. They would have to buy into co-ed athletics. And I think some could probably be easier sold than others. I don't know all the kinesiology behind it and muscle growth and patterns that would go into developing a female football player. But you take something like cross country, swimming, volleyball. Although the males tend to be taller and maybe a little bit quicker, I think the females could have as much or better knowledge of the strategy behind the game, and probably muscle reflexes and the way they get around the court might create an interesting concept for the game of volleyball. Track, cross country, or track and swimming, it comes down to times. If the women can compete time-wise better, and that's what they want, and that's what the governing body would want, I'd say go for it. I'm not sure it'd be interesting to see those that are doing the research, what they would want the end result to be. What's the purpose? Is the purpose to show female dominance, physical dominance over a male, or is it to show that, hey, they can just compete at that level? I think if you're talking physical dominance, that might be, like I said earlier, a little bit more difficult than maybe the mental aspect of the game. And I wouldn't want to ever shortchange this on any direction, or would never discourage anybody from researching it and seeing where trends are going. With training methods today and everything that's out there, there's a lot of females out there that are better athletes than men. Are there better female high school athletes than high school other male? Of course. So when do you start blending that? Where do you mix it? And how do you go about it? That'll be interesting to see what your class comes up with.
Yeah. If there was a push by the IHSAA to combine some things like co-ed cross country or track or volleyball or something like that, would there be any advantage as the IHSAA would be looking at that, like financially? Like schools could save money on, instead of having a boys cross country coach and a girls cross country coach, having just a cross country coach. Is there anything, would that not be worth pursuing?
Only if you're willing to eliminate numbers. If you're willing to eliminate numbers because your team is so big, then maybe. If you had strictly a JV or a varsity cross country team, and you kept it to 7 runs, kept it to 14 or 21, then you could probably cut it down to one coach or two. But if you have a male and female team, you can keep larger numbers. And I think that's what I would be all about, is keeping larger numbers. Now, could you still keep, I don't know, I think the girls might have had 30-some, the boys had 30-some for Homestead this year. Let's say you keep all those numbers, run them all together. How do you determine who runs on a co-ed team? The top 7? Right now, statistically, our top 7 boys are faster than our top 7 girls. But if we had a girl that 2 or 3 or 4 or all 7 could run faster than the boys, and that's what the governing body wanted to do, then shoot, go for it. If it's all about times, I think high school athletics is not all about times and winning, and I think it should be about participation. And on those types of sports, when we can keep our athletes active, we should. basketball, the cutting sports, soccer. Although you'd like to see more kids participating, that would mean hiring more coaches and having more teams. I think you have to be careful when it comes to putting, if you went to the best females and best males together, and that combination, that we're not eliminating some from that sport or that any activity.
Yeah. Besides eliminating players that might not go out if there was a co-ed, what other challenges would there be if we went to more of a co-ed athletic program in any sport?
Oh, there'd be some unintended, some that you wouldn't even know about until it happened. Most of us go away from having boys and girls travel in buses together. There have been issues in the past with that type of thing. When you combine teams, we try not to do that now. It would mean more education on those types of things. I think it would be, you have to be careful about the team parties. Well, you have to be careful now of the way they are, but the types of get-togethers you'd have might be nothing that's not, nothing that isn't manageable. Locker room supervision, for the most part, you'd like to have a male and a female being able to supervise the locker rooms. If you had one coach, obviously you couldn't do that. We do have some teams where we don't have a female coach for a female team, and then we try to get those that maybe are around the area to check on it for supervision once in a while, that type of thing. But nothing that can't be overcome. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think if there was. I don't know if there would be a financial benefit or loss. I mean, the uniforms would be the same. The officials, I would think, would be the same. The scheduling, just be a matter of getting them out there.
Yeah.
We do it with cheerleading. Cheerleading is co-ed. We'll take boys on our team if they can compete, and there's a lot of boys that can compete and do a lot more than the girls. They make great throwers. They're probably not going to be the flyer, mm-hmm. but they participate there. Mm-hmm. There are some of those co-ed things out there now, but like in cheerleading, a male can enhance the traditionally female team by virtue of their strength and what they have to offer. Likewise, the girls can offer guys the same thing. Be interesting to see if we could rejuvenate gymnastics in that way. Mm-hmm. Gymnastics is a male sport. Combine it, and right now it's falling off in the state of Indiana. Be interesting to see if we could get that back on track by having a co-ed gymnastics team.
Besides cheerleading and gymnastics, what are the sports that you think are the most conducive to being co-ed? Like you hear about, like other high schools I've heard have a female kicker on their football team, or you hear on SportsCenter about a female wrestler, that's in a high school wrestling team. Do we have any rules against that right now, or how does that work right now at Homestead?
There are females that wrestle. There are females that kick. There are rules probably that favor Title IX a little bit more, whereas girls can participate in male sports before guys can participate in female sports. The traditional look of a female sport. Guys can't participate in women's volleyball. Girls can participate in football. Girls don't participate in boys cross country because there's a girls cross country team. I wouldn't be against any of those scenarios that we talked about if the family knew and the student athlete knew what they were getting into when they were competing with and against other boys. If a kicker knows what they're getting into, or a girl that can run, I wouldn't be against a girl that can running the ball, as long as they know what they're getting into. And same thing with wrestling. Swimming, likewise. I think some of the contact sports might be a little bit more difficult on the physical side. I'm not saying every girl would be that way. That's definitely no. But on the average, I think the physical side might be a little tougher to compete with.
All right. Well, thank you. We're going to do a project in our classes and try to determine what the feasibility is of combining, sports and how that would look like here at Homestead, and whether female athletes can eventually participate and be as good as, or even better maybe, than male athletes.
Invite me in and I'll stir the pot any day you want.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay.
I don't know. We'll see how that goes.